Cheers, everybody, and welcome to the Late Sesh.
Cheers, y'all.
We are MBGS. It's Nuttree. I don't know, maybe Tara's back there. You got Tara working tonight? You guys swap spots?
She's at work right now. She's supposed to be popping in later. She gets off here any minute now, and she told me to keep the light on for her. So
okay, so like work isn't like locked in the basement like you were last night, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was actually also played a couple video games while I was down there and listening to you guys. But
oh wow, dude! I see how important we are to you.
No, I mean I got a lot of work done, and then I started playing a couple video games. But
well, what were you playing?
What was I playing? What was we playing? Mini Royale is a new game. Like these army guys that are in basically what's the guy's bedroom on Toy Story?
Oh, okay.
It's basically like the kid's bedroom on Toy Story, and you're a little army soldier guy, and it's
nice.
first-person shooter game, you know. That and Andy, some rocket. Andy, yes, Andy's room. That's right. Okay. Basically, that's what.
As long as it's not Sid's room, because then you're strapped to a firework or something like.
Playing a lot of that, and then Rocket League are the two main ones.
Nice. Very nice. What about you, Russ Spartan? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I was just trying to research these house bills, and yeah, I'm not pulling it up either. I can find like a synopsis, but I can't find the PDF for that one. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I don't know if it's just hard to find, or if Bart is seeing the future or something, or what. But we do have a couple. What's up, Red? There he is. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, Red.
What's up, guys?
I am gonna start off tonight by sharing a couple articles we'll get through. Let's
cheers, Daddy Red. See you in chat.
Yeah, cheers, everybody in chat. Give it a thumbs up while you're here.
Cheers, Daddy Red.
Shoot us a comment and let us know what you think about some of these articles I'm sharing. So this is from today. And actually, this is, well, it says 4 minutes ago, but I pulled it up before the show. So this is probably a 15, 20-minute old article. Troubled Roseville motel demolished to be replaced by a cannabis dispensary. So a demo crew on Monday today started the process of tearing down an eyesore, it says, in Roseville to clear the property for a cannabis dispensary. And now, I will say, with warning, Spartan, don't get offended. There's going to be a couple of these nasty, dirty dispensary provisioning center names in here that we just can't even fathom to sound out the name or promote. But I thought it was kind of interesting.
I'm not offended by them. I just
all right, just a fair warning. Yeah. So, anyways, Jars Cannabis plans to build a new dispensary once the rubble is removed. So east side, Grossbeck, south of Common Road. This isn't too far north of 696, I believe. I'm going to actually share a different screen. I pulled up the Google Maps, I think it is, whatever the street view of it. And so this is the motel. Old classic L-shaped motel right on Grossbeck. You see it was for sale. A couple pictures of the motel here. It's very nice. I wonder if we'll find any like meth pipes here. But yeah, it's interesting. Oh God, what is happening here? What are we getting into? What is? All right, we gotta get on this. I think we're sharing crime scene photos. Google Maps with the crime scene.
At least we're on the Late Sesh. At least.
Oh my goodness!
Video off from the motel, like Motel Live.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that was a episode of Cops or something.
It looked like crime scene photographs or something.
In any case, if you search Roseville Inn on Google Maps, you'll see those photos for yourself. So enjoy. But yeah, they're. I've seen this a lot, man. Just repurposing of old buildings. Now, I will say, when I first saw this article, I thought they were actually just converting the motel into like a grow or a dispensary or something. Then they're not. They're demoing, like they're demolishing the whole thing. So it's apparently an eyesore that's now going to become something new. And I've seen some of the jars in the area. They're whatever. They're new, up to date buildings. I guess that's cool. Not the biggest fan of these giant, I don't know. It is what it is. But yeah, so that's the first article. Next, I don't know, guys got any thoughts on that, on converting old properties and that are, essentially eyesores into the cannabis stuff?
No, it's kind of like the best one I've ever seen with that example is in Flint, where they took that old police station or whatever that was and converted it into a grow. I thought that was the best I've seen.
They did something like that in Mansalona, Michigan, too, where it was an old police station that turned into a dispensary up north there. That was pretty cool to see also. So sometimes, depending on what it is, maybe could be a cool little thing to turn into. Maybe the location is key. But
for sure.
I don't know. Everybody's trying to get in there, a good spot. And if it's a good building with not dilapidated and able to pass all the
certificate of occupancy. Yeah, I was actually looking into those today, different cities, and how the state has its own rule on COAs and of course or COOs, I guess. And each municipality might have passed their own ordinances or what have you on the C of O's. But yeah, speaking of Michigan businesses working with the cannabis industry, here's another one. Free night skiing with the purchase of cannabis products resumes at Michigan Ski Resort. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Until you keep reading and you find out what dispensary it is. But again, Mount Bohemia, Michigan. It's back spinning the chairlifts after a slow start to the season. We all know that much for sure.
They just opened. They just opened last week, man. It's crazy.
Man. It is kind of crazy. I feel really bad
they're
for
way up north.
Oh yeah, they're about as far north as you can get. I think it's the biggest elevation too in
I
Michigan.
think they just got rated the best ski resort or skiing in the country.
Yeah,
they're so far north. They
backlash.
don't need all of the snow machines like they do down here. You know what I mean? So
oh yeah, it's real snow.
They rely on real snow up there. We're down here. We rely on snow machines
and just freezing temperatures.
Yeah, exactly. It just needs to be cold down here. They got to have real snow. They actually have warnings that are like, we have snow, you can ski, we have lanes open, but remember, we don't have a 48-inch base like we normally do. So you're gonna hit stumps, you're going to hit logs, shit that's normally covered with snow.
So apparently you can redeem a free Thursday night skiing ticket, which honestly, if you're not up there, you're not going to be up there to ski on a Thursday night. So it's really just seems like it's for the locals. But if they get a free ticket for Thursday night skiing if they purchase $50 or more from a Loom dispensary. And honestly, who's not going into a dispensary spending probably about $50 anyway? They have over 20 locations. I think a couple of them closed down the last couple of years or last year or so. So yeah, I don't know. Something.
Remember who you're supporting when you do spend money on them. People who are anti-home grow.
Yeah. Exactly. So maybe just go buy a ticket for Mount Bohemia.
They will lobby to change our culture. So just remember, when you spend money on them, you spend money on anti-culture.
Yeah. Again, that's why I'm kind of prefacing all these with, look into the dispose you're supporting and all that. And, maybe just don't, just support a local caregiver or something. But in any case, here's another one. And actually, that's
why, like my opinion would be, I'm all for any abandoned housing, building, or anything like that being used for anything that's going to benefit the community. Cannabis most certainly is going to benefit the community. Unfortunately, my belief is that when these corporations chasing ROI get a hold of the property, rather than putting in any sort of quality infrastructure, they're going to try to put in the cheapest materials possible, potentially creating more of a landfill than what they started with. You know what I mean? Depending on
it depends on if they're there for a good time or a long time. You know what I mean? Some of them have quick extra strategies and just want to flip the whole market, and some of them want to actually make an investment. So,
and then they're just going to leave a tin can left on the building with potentially more hazardous waste than what they originally got it for. Yeah,
so. maybe that's the thing. Like, you have to bring. Speaking of certificate of occupancy. Say that 10 times fast. That's one of those things where, like, if you're building a new building, or even if you're moving a business into a building, typically have to get one of those done. And that means, it has to be up to code. It has to be safe. It has to be occupiable. And, that means the fire department, building inspector, zoning, someone's going to come in there and check it out. And if it's not fit, then, you're going to have to demo it, or you're going to have to bring it up to code. Usually that's a lot of money. So I think in this case, they probably were just like, let's just demo the whole thing. It remains to be seen what's going to be put in its place. I think again, if you look around at some of the other buildings they put up in the area, they've done the same thing. They actually just north of that on Grossbeck, about 7 miles, they demolished a florist, an old florist, and put up a new jars cannabis. So it's maybe that's just what they're in the business of doing.
I mean, that seems like an improvement in building wise and aesthetics. Maybe, I don't know. I'd rather see a greenhouse, to be honest. But if it wasn't open, it probably wasn't looking too hot.
Well, it's
Yeah,
like
I mean, we saw what it looked like.
like some of these downtown areas, like I don't know, they like that old downtown look, and then you get something new hip that moves in, and then they just like literally like what I'm talking about is like rather than putting the actual cost into like building a nice beautiful brick building, they're going to throw in a tin can warehouse, you know what I mean, one of those like steel buildings, and
Maybe.
it's going to throw off like, well, maybe, right, yeah, maybe.
You have me feeling like I have to go defend Jars Cannabis now because I don't know what the case is. I really don't know.
No,
what the case
I'm
is.
not saying it's Jars. I'm just saying that's capitalism, man. That's these companies that have no desire to push quality. They only want to set up shop and push profit. That's it. They just want to pull profit for that matter. Like they're going to try to build that building as fast as possible.
For sure.
The clock's ticking. You know what I mean? They're not going to waste more money. You know what I mean? They're already chasing a bottom barrel of a market. You know what I mean?
All right, here you go. You ready for this? This is the building I was talking about that they destroyed. They demolished a florist and put this up. There you go.
So what was
looks
it
like.
before?
What it
Yeah.
looked like before?
Yeah, do you have a picture of it before?
No, but it was a building out of the probably 60s, maybe 50s.
Behind it.
Didn't look as nice, but it wasn't as flashy.
See, that don't look bad. I don't think that looks bad. I think that's okay.
I think it's bright.
I mean,
black
it's
and
definitely
white.
flashy.
It's just black and white. What do you mean flashy?
It's bright.
It's
It
very
depends on
big.
what the neighborhood looks like. You know what I mean? If that's like a
I mean, why do you need that many freaking cement posts outside? I mean, we know why, but like that.
You absolutely know why. That's called security.
I
man.
know, but that just like that kind of stuff. It's like, gosh dang it! I wish we didn't have to do that.
Well, if the government had regulation, didn't have the stupid regulations and stupid laws, and we had banking, you didn't have to worry about cash. We wouldn't have to worry about security so much.
Oh, we want to talk banking? I got one for you. Here we go. Well, look at that. Look at that transition there. If I can pull it up fast enough. All right, here we go. So this title has nothing to do with Michigan. Washington's teen marijuana use drops, Alaska's cannabis tax, and who's buying what in Minnesota's market. But if we scroll down, we see Michigan Chamber of Commerce advocates for marijuana banking bill. The Michigan Chamber of Commerce is urging Congress to pass a marijuana banking bill, citing a surge in retail break-ins. The absence of banking services for cannabis businesses, which often operate cash only due to federal restrictions, has escalated security concerns, reported Marijuana Moment. So it's just a little paragraph in here, but I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
I'll end my quad of articles here with this last one before we get to, I think maybe Spartan's got one to share. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this? With 2023 and the rear view mirror, what should the cannabis industry expect in 2024? I'm not going to go through the whole article, but I do want to read these headlines real quick. Federal legalization efforts once again stalled. Surprise, surprise. This is 40 years of that. But there are signs of hope for 2024. Yeah, surprise, surprise. That's every year. These are just my opinions at this point. States continue to lead the way on legalization reform despite facing challenges. Again, this just seems like business as usual in the last decade. And then, of course, industry growth remained sluggish in 2023, but there's hope for a turnaround in 2024. I mean, it just seems like business as usual, that whole article to me. But what are your guys' thoughts on maybe where it's going to go this year?
I don't know I don't know how you can say business is sluggish when you do $3 billion fucking dollars in a year. That's sluggish business all of a sudden. I mean, there's quite a lot of
margins. I think they're talking margins.
Whose fault is that? Whose fault is the margins? We don't set the margins.
Yeah, it's the dumbasses that fucking paid in on this shit, fucking without understanding what the fuck they were buying in on.
No, it's even more is the dumbasses that set the bottom and then set that for everybody else. So everybody else just pitfalled down, and now they all struggling and losing.
To be fair, the article does say industry growth remains sluggish, and I think that's
Oh, did we do 3 billion last year? I don't.
Yeah,
think we
I
did.
don't. I think in terms of sales, you're right. Like we're just setting, like we talked about last night. Like, yeah, December was a record-breaking month for us. I shared that with the guy at the gas station tonight. I was like, dude, we set a new record last month. But I like this particular sentence pops out to me. M&A, which is mergers and acquisitions. M&A deals have also been on the decline since 2022. And while there was hope that this trend might be reversed in 2023, that hasn't proven to be the case. And I called that. I was wrong, but that's what my thought was too. It was like 2023, it's going to be crazy amount of mergers and acquisitions and closings. And there were some, but I don't think we've really hit that breaking point yet. So I think we're still on a weird decline or sluggish growth or a deceleration, if you will. Maybe it's just that, a deceleration instead of an actual decline. But I do think there is a turnaround. I'm just not sure how quickly it's going to come.
Yeah, I think we're just waiting for federal. That's what it's. It's everybody's in limbo
Maybe.
and just kind of treading water until federal.
Yeah, it's sink or swim, and if you can swim, well, better have some deep pockets.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some people that are still doing all right out there. There's some brand that have built themselves up now that are doing okay. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when everything.
Do you think those brands that you're talking about, do you think it's just a matter of market share, or is it a matter of quality, or what is it?
Yeah, I think it's their product. I think there's certain brands that bring a product that's consistent so that people can go back and get the same product. And I think that's still kind of rare.
Yeah, definitely, man.
And yeah,
Hard to do.
Yeah. So when people have a few strains that they run through and they keep going through it, I think that sets them apart than people that bring a different strain every time. And that's pressure from the dispos. The dispos want a different strain every time. But it's just a funny system of a bunch of I don't want to call names, a bunch of people
Egos.
making decisions. Yeah, making a bunch of dumb decisions that they have no understanding of cannabis.
I feel that.
They might have understanding of business, just not really cannabis.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's the Chads and Brads, right? That's that whole thing. What would a Chad that actually knows how to grow be? Like, what would he be called?
I gotta.
Chaz?
Well, hold on. I gotta stop for just 1 second before we get into all.
I got an answer to that too. But go ahead.
Same topic. We can't forget. The Chads and the Brads were usually the guys with the links to the money, right? They weren't necessarily the ones with IP. They hired caregivers to come in and set them up with the IP. And a lot of these caregivers were willing to go and help places like, I don't know, I'm just not going to name
Right.
brands, but any of the heads, let's say any of the top 10 leaders of the MCMA, there were top 10 people who were originally also caregivers and craft growers that were either, if not swindled, money hungry enough to go and help these companies work. So I mean, it's
there's also just a lot of people that are passionate about growing. They got fooled by
integrity says a lot, and there's a lot of people in this industry that are full of shit. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt as well.
Dude, I know someone that had a caregiver brand that brought his brand on board to a licensed, a grower, processor, whatever, a manufacturing side of things. I don't know all the details, but essentially he got fired and they kept his brand, which, I don't know how that works out. There's got to be contracts, right? All I know is in the end, he gets a quarterly royalties paycheck from them because he took them to court and won. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, it is. But
you don't hear it enough.
My point is, it's not just the Chads and the Brads that are quote unquote the Chads and the Brads. I mean, there's actually like traditional market people out there that have became the Chads and the Brads, or that like wanted to bump elbows enough with that side of the industry that they've decided to shit on the rest of the industry. And I don't know if it's enough to even call them Chads and Brads because they didn't come into it with the money. They just followed it. You know what I mean? They
Isn't that just a sellout or something?
They sold out. Exactly. It's sellout, cop out, right? And so you have both, not just the Chads and the Brads, but also those sellouts to blame as well. So I just want to.
You're not wrong there, but I do think a lot of those quote unquote sellouts did come into it with a lot of good intention, because I looked for my opportunity and I looked hard.
agree.
And I was given many offers and there wasn't a single one that sat right with me. And until there was going to be one that sat right with me, I wasn't going to take it. I was just going to keep it exploring.
You made enough good decisions to know to not play the game yet. You know what I mean? So it was.
Unfortunately, man, I really freaking want to, like it's not.
And I was in the same boat where I had to say, I can't. It's either me or my ethos. It's
right.
You know what I mean? At some point,
the one, man.
You made that decision, and you're here sitting here and not. I don't know if it's struggling or collecting paychecks or a little bit of both on the other side, and also maybe kind of kicking yourself for fucking knowing that the culture is being destroyed. In a sense that I'm thankful that I didn't get pulled into it, because I would be kicking myself. My conscience knows better. You know what I mean? My conscience knows that there's a better way to earn a living.
Dude, we have two people. Two out of the like technically 8 of us on the MBGS panel have done just that. They've rescinded that relationship with the commercial facilities and come back to the bright side. One of them being right here, Spartan. The other one being Dankman Dan.
I worked for him too. I had to get.
Yeah, that's true too. But you didn't have to rescind your license or anything, right?
For me, I walked away from the job at Minton just like I walk away from any job, where if it gets to a point to where you're not going to do what you said you did, if you're not a person of your word, then I don't want to work with you anymore. So that was my situation there. And it just so happened to have to do with the caregivers, because the owner said that he would never sell anything to one of those facilities, and he was selling to a dispo that did have MCMA stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got to the point where it was even almost a joke about that. They thought it was funny, and I didn't really think it was fun.
Right. And that's how the management that I was dealing with, when I discussed the severity of the issues, they were just like, what are you going to do? Basically type of thing. It's like, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. You're going to continue hiring college kids that are continue rotating through, and you're going to spend a ton of money on a turnover, and I'm going to leave and go do my thing. That's what we're going to do. So that's what we did. And they're probably still continuing to spend tons of money on turnover, because the industry does. It's just like service industry, at least at the shop that I was at, because it was continual turnover. People were leaving left and right. People, were diehard to get in there, and they'd be there for like 2 weeks and just be bitching up a storm, complaining, and fucking. It's like, oh my god,
what keeps?
I feel like I'm in the restaurant industry again,
right? And what keeps those folks, whether it's the barbacks, the bartenders, the chefs,
it's a job.
No. Hold on. Let me get here. Let me make my point, because what keeps those people at one business? I get it's a job, and I get that you have the skill set that you can jump around to literally hundreds of businesses in your area, right?
a lot of
But what keeps you at one location? From what I've been told, and I know I'm answering my own question here, but from what I've been told, speaking with a couple of these people, is it's always management. It's whether or not management treats you like a human being, whether you get the days off without having me to call back in, and whether get disrespected.
100% the thing.
But that's every job, I believe.
That's fair. That's fair.
Every restaurant, just about every restaurant, if you're sales, or even if you're front counter, a lot of times you are your own salesperson, and you kind of make your own money based on. Now, menu price does have a lot to do with it. If you're working at a Coney Island and all of your entrees are $3, but then again, you might turn over hundreds of checks a day, right? Compared to a fine diner that might not open up from 5 to 8 p.m. and that's it. You got a couple $100 entrees, but you might have 4 tables all night. So there's a balance there. And one might be, they both might have the same amount of work also, because that 3-hour shift, you might have 5 hours worth of prep time and all kinds of other shit. So but a lot of it is like, the money definitely keeps people in, because it is quick, fast cash money. A lot of times you're claiming your credit cards at best, and your not paying as much taxes, you know, and the system just kind of set up for the honor system, you know what I mean? So depending on the people working that, but then management is most certainly what's going to keep people there from leaving. You know, the money's keeping people there, and what's keeping people from leaving is certainly the management. And I'll tell you what, the way that a lot of these places are ran, the way that the management is in these places, they don't even know what the fucks. They don't even know anything about cannabis. When I came in as a cannabis entrepreneur, as somebody who was already in the cannabis field, and my manager knew way less about cannabis, didn't even know what fucking terpenes were or anything like that. That's when I was like, this is a fucking joke. You're coaching me? What the fuck? We need to switch roles real quick. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with the fact that they know anything about cannabis. It's because they know how to push books, and that's all they're hired for. The problem is a manager on shift needs to be able to take a role. That's the problem. Manager on shift, there's one thing, a manager on shift that is the bookkeeper. That's a manager, but that's not the case in restaurants. Unfortunately, whatever it is, either it's the ROI or, you know, the fact that labor costs are always too high. For some reason, there's never enough management in a restaurant. The manager's always the fucking do it all. When I was the manager, I would be the only fucking manager on shift. I would be playing manager who's running books, but also cooking, answering the phones, answering the door, seating tables, pouring drinks, running orders, literally doing it all. And that's how the dispensaries get ran, because people don't show up for shift. People fight and argue. You have to send people home. There's somebody crying in the back because they're fucking, you know, whatever's going on at home. Like,
well, they're all getting paid minimum wage on top.
That's why they're all have no problem just acting out at work, because they don't care. You know, and really, I mean, I've worked with enough people to know like the differences and I've worked in shops and like where you actually have people who treat their jobs of value and responsibility and things like that. And it's wild, man. Like machine shops, you know what I mean? I'm by trade a airplane mechanic, you know what I mean? I've worked in all kinds of fucking different places, you know what I mean? I've worked in FAA. I've worked under the FAA, which is federal. I've worked at skate parks. I've worked at pet shops, you know what I mean? And it's crazy seeing the different types of people, the different types of work ethics, I should say, the ethics of workers out there.
I'm a factory rat, so that was my background until I got into growing. And I have no real big complaints at working at Mechanical. I love the time that I had there. I got along with everyone I worked with. We were a great team. It made time go by way fast. We crushed it there. They're still fucking crushing it there. Not as good as when I'm there, though.
Obviously. I mean, that need not be said.
Work ethics is huge, and just knowledge of what you're doing, and then the love and drive for what you do. I think the love and drive for what you do has a lot to do with it. And a lot of people do love. When I was bartending, I loved it. I loved bartending. It wasn't like not just the mixology and mixing drinks, stuff like that, but the there was a time where I was a very social person. I loved fucking bartending because I got to fucking just hang out with all the fucking regulars that would come in there every day and work up a fucking chat, you know, and just like it's a back and forth. You learn a lot about people, and like and you build this great social capital where, you know, people give you gifts. People, you know what I mean? You begin to like your friendship chain begins to grow out of nowhere, and then you start to bump elbows, and that social capital turns into experiential capital because you help somebody do a job, doing something, and then all of a sudden you got, you know, and all of a sudden fiscal through it. You know what I mean? It's a snowball effect just by meeting and greeting with people.
That's a huge, powerful force that a lot of people don't tap into, and really that's a big secret in any industry, not just cannabis industry, but I think it's a little bit more in the cannabis industry because everybody's kind of connected.
Well, that's really got into working at the store and just selling eighths. You know what I mean? Because I got to be a bartender again. I got to sit there and connect with people again. People I didn't know. It's one thing to have conversations like with you guys, where we can have conversations where we know each other, but have conversations with people you don't know. is fascinating. You know what I mean?
It's the best, dude.
It is.
I love learning about people's like lives and shit and just what like they've experienced, because chances are 99% of the time it's not anything you'd ever experience. You know, everyone's got such different backstories. Just to hear it, dude, I could sit there and listen to a compilation of backstories 24/7.
Me too. I
Generally,
love-
people are far nicer than you're going to make them out to be, and the world is actually a far nicer place than it really is portrayed on the media or the news. You know, once you actually
Of
experience
course.
it.
Nice doesn't sell though.
Nice doesn't sell.
Nice doesn't get clicks.
I mean, to be fair, being out in public, I don't experience much nice. You know what I mean? Also, but at the same time, back to our conversation, when you have people that aren't, you know, people in a passing by situation where they're not there to stop and engage with you, they're on their way to do something, they might be an asshole. But people that are actually engaging because they're sitting down having a break, having a drink, or buying weed or something like that, they're a lot more engaging. You know, it's just a different. So I mean, yeah, people aren't nice on the road. People may not be nice in passing. You know what I mean? It seems like everybody's an asshole, and I think that we all just really have our blinders on all the time, and like really our fucking noses in our phones, and we just don't know what's going
It's
on.
also such an American thing to just be like on the go, going to do
On the
something,
go.
point A to point B.
Blinders
Like,
on.
don't worry about anybody else. I got my own shit going on. There's too many of us. There's too much shit to do. There's too many things to worry about. I got to make more money. I got to, you know, take care of my kids. I got to put gas in the car. I got to.
And then all of a sudden you're at the gas station and you're at the clerk, and all of a sudden you slow down for a second because you got a 20 in your hand and you're about to pay gas, and all of a sudden you're locked eyes with somebody, and it's not this fucking thing, and it's not this fucking thing. It's a human, and all of a sudden you go, oh, conversation time. And then it switches over. It's weird to switch over. Like sometimes I'll pull my head out of this phone and I'll go, whoa.
Where am I? How did
Yeah.
I get here?
Am I? You know, and like that's kind of like going and going and going, and then all of a sudden seeing a person like actually having a conversation, like even though you might have passed 100 people or driven by a bunch of people or whatever. It's
I don't have an expectation that yours is very high, or really anyone on this panel, but have you guys ever looked at your screen time on your phone? Like daily averages and stuff?
no,
Oh,
but
wait.
The way Tara's eyes just lit up makes me nervous, but
I bet you mine's very high. I do most of my work at my phone.
yeah.
that's fair.
I don't know, Tara. Let's compare our.
You guys want to do it?
I'm kidding.
Instagram
Well,
tells me
well,
Let me quiz you on some things there also while we're at it.
I usually see that notification.
Yeah, you can set limits and stuff. I was digging through those settings the other day, and I was like, "Oh man, I could just mom myself." Like,
You know what you guys were just talking about was funny because I was weird today out and about. I felt like everybody talked to me today, and I don't know anybody in this town or anything like that, so I don't know anybody. And I'm very talkative. I will talk to anybody, but I was at Chipotle and two people there talked to me. I ended up strumming up another conversation with somebody at Marshall's, and it was just I don't know. Everybody was talkative today.
That happens to me a lot everywhere.
I don't know. I'm always walking around, I think, also with a smile on my face. So I make myself also, I don't do it on
Yeah.
purpose, but I think I'm very approachable. Just because of, you know, I'm always smiling and, you know, just out enjoying it. So
experiencing life, that's what it's about. And like, I don't know, guys. Yeah, you could have your headphone or your phone, your head in your phone, your headphones on, you know, and definitely be not approachable that way. But like I said, like that's why I made the comment to the guy at the gas station about setting a new record about selling weed. Like I'm just excited about it. Like he might not give a shit. Like, but it's just like it comes up in conversation in the 30 seconds I have at the counter, and like, yeah, just I don't know, man. It's a good thing to do. And I think though, part of it might be, and maybe this is just me, but maybe we just spend too much time talking to plants all day, where we just need another human to talk to.
Always.
I'm usually wearing some kind of a weed related thing. So it's usually somebody who will stop and talk to me. He's like another grower of some sort because they'll notice something I'm wearing.
No,
Or it might smell like
talking to are the people at the bank. Most of the people at the bank I do like talking to, but
I drive through the bank, man. I don't even go in the bank.
Well,
I don't
well,
even
our
see
bank
me.
has a deposit limit, so you have to like deposit inside if you deposit over a certain amount. So it's like I have to go inside, and and this one lady's like, "What do you do for a living?" And I'm like,
Every time.
Why? Because I'm depositing cash.
Yes. It's part of their script.
It's like,
Because
well,
they need to add you to the list that they send off to the feds, man.
then
Exactly.
and then how's business going? Oh, it's good. You have a busy weekend? Yeah. How's your week? Yeah. I hate going inside and talking to the bank tellers.
Just be mean.
There's the one.
No, guys.
I'm not here to answer questions.
No, stop. I'm telling you, this is, without getting too far in the weeds here, this has helped me more than
And we
once.
talked about our Lord and Savior Jesus today.
Yeah, you could go that route. They might be too into it too, though. No, I think it's actually, I think that is one of those really, really important places to have a good relationship with, is at the bank. And that's regardless of what you do, whether you're in the cannabis space or not. I think it's actually a very valuable thing to have. It's not that I've heard those same questions before. Also, what do you do? How long you been in business?
Yeah.
Like, it's like I told you this last time. You really don't care. This is
I had
for a form,
It's fine. So we have nice chop up conversations. She asks how our tomatoes are growing, how our farming business.
Oh yeah, we talk about our kids and shit. He's got the kids same age. Like it's but it's important.
To know you.
It's just important, man. I think it's one of those few places where it's really important to know your blank.
My bank once said to me, "You're the one that always deposits your checks at the ATM, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's probably because I don't want to come in here."
I have social anxiety. Shut up.
Yeah, my bank doesn't know me very well. I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you what, though. I've never the day I quit worrying about depositing cash ever was when I saw a guy from Wild Bill's Tobacco, I think it was, walking to the bank with no less than $30,000 in cash and deposit it. And it was like, no questions asked, nothing ever happened. This is a daily occurrence. And sure as shit, this happened once or two more times again. And I'm just like, oh, there he is again with this
I used to do
brown bag full of cash. Like, what is this?
I used to do cash draws for Buffalo Wild Wings, dude. Downtown Ypsilanti at the bank, right on Michigan Ave. Fucking terrified. Bright red bank bag. They sent us in with a bright red fucking bank bag because it's fucking like Key Bank or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Just fat fucking bank bag, 30, 40 grand fucking cash. Go fucking into the bank and make deposits. Super fast, no big deal. Nothing big. Never had. I had to sign the slip because it was more than 10 grand. You know what I mean? You got to sign off on more than $10,000.
Yeah, the IRS wants to know about those $10,000 deposits. They get notified every time.
You got to sign off anything over 10 grand. But thankfully, it was a smooth system down there. They eventually moved the bank actually right over by my house. Down
They just guys had a line of direct cash deposits and withdrawals, like one of those vacuum tube things, like just directly to your house.
That'd be so much. I used to love taking the fucking bank route, dude. I go smoke a joint, fucking back here, the bank by my house.
All the money smells like weed. They're like, "What do you do, sir?"
I run home, let my dog out, go to the bank, smoke a joint. I was a cigarette smoker. I'd smoke a few cigarettes, fucking get back to work, finish off. It was a fucking 12-hour shift usually, so take a nice little doobie break.
In high school, I was the Tim Hortons runner. Go get those what were they called? I mean, I always got an apple fritter, but what the heck was that thing called? Ice cappuccino or something? I don't know. That's what the boss wanted. I never handled money.
Had to go get the ice caps.
I don't want to be that conspiracy guy or whatever, but CTC in chat said the bank workers don't give a shit. They don't get paid enough to care. They just want to get home and drink. But there's also bank workers that love being dicks.
No. Most of the
all
bank
it takes is one. I mean,
exactly.
All it takes is one.
And
Doesn't matter what it is.
And even though there is some money, like if it's over a certain amount, then it's guaranteed to be on the list.
Yeah.
It could be $1 fucking and you can get on the list. It's anything suspicious. I know people that work in the banks.
What it is, man, is it's that one person that like just takes everything seriously. You know, and the overachiever.
Exactly.
It's the overachiever. They're not ever going to get paid more.
This is what I'm saying about having a relationship with them, though. Like, that's why I think it's
Good to
important.
have a relationship with the overachiever. That's the person you got to smile and talk to. That's the exact person you have to. Smile.
Or if they don't
Janice,
know you,
how's your day going?
if they don't know you, they can't fuck with you.
Oh, they can. They know everything about you. They know your social, your address, your phone number.
They don't know me. They don't know me enough to hate me or anything.
If
They
you
don't
just
know me.
you just wear your Method 7s and you pull your fucking hat down low and you put your hood on and you walk.
Put a piece of tape over your Frigoli hat.
Then all you got, they're gonna fucking flag you for a $300 transaction.
As far as my bank's concerned, I'm working at the job I worked at like 6 jobs ago.
How's that job, Russ?
It's great.
You still cashing those checks over at the fucking party store?
Yeah, man.
Dude, I used to be happy to cash my check over at the liquor store, man. They take like what, $3 or something like that.
Meyer, I think, still will do that. Kmart. Who did Kmart? Kmart, that reminds me. They just were in the news. They merged with, I think it was Albertsons. Kmart and Albertsons, if I remember right.
Kmart? Kmart still exists?
For girly.
I didn't even.
Maybe it's Kroger. I think it's maybe Kroger. Maybe it's Kroger, the other K.
Kroger?
Kroger and Albertsons.
Girly's talking into, he's muted. It's not.
Who took over who?
I am just talking into a muted mic. I think Kroger would have taken over. Kroger's huge.
I was
Kroger's
gonna say
like one of the
Kroger's
top
huge.
2 or 3 grocery stores
Man, the
chains in the
Cincinnati
country.
hub is
All right, so it's Kroger and Albertsons, which I know Albertsons is big down south.
Also big, yeah.
When I was living in Texas, that's all there was down there was Albertsons.
Yeah, you got Albertsons, Publix, Kroger, Meyer. You know, I don't know.
Kroger's goes pretty far too. I mean,
Oh yeah, they're all over the country, or
Yeah.
at least down south too. You know, I think
Yeah.
they were down to Texas, weren't they?
really.
I don't know. In any case, what was my story? Oh yeah, Kmart. So in the year 2000,
1972.
oh close. That I wasn't around back when you were born, Spartan. Sorry,
I wasn't around in 72.
I know. I'm making an old joke, you boomer.
I can say that one. Me either.
Sarah's like, I got this. So, in the year 2000, I was just a young lad, maybe a preteen, just fresh teenager, something like that. I was gifted by my fantastic business entrepreneur-minded uncle a vast amount of stock shares, the first shares of stock I ever owned. They were a whopping 50 shares of Kmart stock that I was gifted in the year 2000. They were somewhere around like 60 cents or something at the time. He gifted them to me. You know, just, yes, I'm in the stock market now, like 12, 13 years old, whatever it was, you know, like cool, you know, got this paper certificate. What do I do with it? I don't know.
Special. Kmart was the shit.
Hell yeah, it was back then, you know, if he had some foresight, maybe we wouldn't have bought that. But anyways, so, you know, what happens, 9 months later, 9/11, two planes come
Not
crashing into the Twin Towers. Everything goes to shit in America. We've never been the same since. And I swear to God, it was like within like 2 weeks of that. I should have prefaced this. Like a week before 9/11, it had went from like that sub $1 to something like $12 or $13, or maybe it was like 2 years. It was crazy increase in the Kmart. But again, for me, you know, this was $25 turned into like, I don't know, a significant amount of money, a few $100s. And at that age, like that's a lot of money. So I'm like, sweet, I'm a bajillionaire. Like I know how to run the stock market. I'm going to do this the rest of my life. I'm made, right? Well, 9/11 rolls around and I swear it was like 2 weeks later, it crashed all the way back down to like 50 cents. And I'm like, I don't understand what happened. And then I don't know how much longer it was after that. I got the actual bankruptcy filing papers in the mail, like this giant envelope, a stack of papers that said your stock is now worthless. And that was a very quick lesson in the stock market. And don't no fucks with it. But yeah, that's my Kmart story. I'm gonna have to go back and like pull these charts up because it's been so long since I told the story. These numbers have to be off, but I gotta find some Kmart historical stock charts.
Some historical Kmart stock prices. I remember in high school we had an economics class, and one of our projects was to gave us play money, and we bought stocks and tracked them for months. And you're competing against everybody else in your class, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't learn how to do none of that shit in school.
That's too bad. It's a good one.
It's a good econ class.
It only was for half the semester, like half the year, but it was cool. I liked that class.
I took an economics class.
I
Skip
didn't take econ until college, and a lot of my friends took economics in high school. I don't even think that was an option for me. And then I got to college, and I going for a business degree, and so of course we have to take macroeconomics and microeconomics and all this stuff. And I think you were supposed to take microeconomics first and then macro, and I did the exact opposite, and I did horrible because it was my first economics class. We're talking like Keynesian economics and all this stuff, and I'm just like, I don't understand. I can't even get in like the frame of reference for this. And I did so poorly, I had to retake that class. So what I did is I went back and I said, okay, let's start with what we're supposed to, what the actual guide says to do, and let's start with micro. And so I took micro, I got like a B+ in it, and then went back and took macroeconomics or whatever it was, and vice versa, and ended up getting an A- in it from my like D+ or whatever it was. So I'm like, hell yeah, I just got to take things twice to learn it.
I think I took
find this historical
microeconomics in college. I can't remember. I might have taken micro. Is that where they teach you the difference between all the different forms of economics, capitalism?
I think that's macro, because macro is looking at the perspective from like a global or country's perspective. Micro is like at the individual level.
Maybe it was a macroeconomic one.
Yeah, I think that's when you're talking Keynesian and Austrian economics. And
I also took accounting, a couple different years of accounting in high school. So yeah,
I took accounting 201 and 202 in college. That's all I was required to take. I had an awesome professor. He wasn't easy on us, but he was a great professor. And then I also had to take financial analysis, like statistics, like all this crazy math stuff, man. I went all the way to calculus 4, I think. That was another one I had to take twice.
Oh, calculus. No,
dude, that sucked. I think it ends at like Calc 5. I took almost all
I thought it was pre-calculus. I'm like, yeah, that's not for me.
Yeah, I took that in high school and did well, and then so I tested out of like the first 2 calculuses or whatever, 3 calculuses in college, and then finally got to 4, and I was like, oh, this ain't for me. I'm not a math major. I'm gonna go back to English or something. I don't know. I'm having trouble finding these historical stock charts. I don't know why it's just difficult.
One of my favorite college classes was world religion, because by the end of that class, it blew my mind how every fucking religion basically believes the same fucking story.
It's all the same religion, essentially.
Yeah,
I think you took the same class.
I love the humanity. I took a few humanities classes, and I really enjoyed humanity.
Learn about Plato and Aristotle and Dante's Inferno and all that.
Like Psychology 3, I think.
Philosophy was pretty interesting.
Philosophy, yeah, I enjoyed philosophy and humanities and all that stuff. I ended up bailing out of Wayne State in my second year after I had something like 30 or 40 some credits or something like that. I bailed out of Wayne State and I went to trade school and got my A&P certificate, airframe and power plant. It was a 20-month program, pretty much 5 days a week. You weren't required to be there, but you had to make up your time if you didn't go. But it was all hands-on training. School, half day, tearing apart airplanes, putting them back together, or some sort of some sort of hands-on. You know, they're electrical, pneumatics, hydraulics, all kinds of different framework like sheet metal, fiberglass, carbon fiber, all kinds of all kinds of structural work, engine repair, all kinds of engine. Tore apart little Cessna engine, took them out of Cessnas, put them back into Cessnas, fired up the Cessnas, shit like that. Torn apart all kinds. Torn apart turbine engines, put turbine engines back together. License is good for not just airplanes. The license is good for life. For one, I don't have to retest. The license is good for hydraulic. I learned welding. I learned all that stuff, included even how to fix plexiglass, because the windows in airplanes are plexiglass, and if they get scratched, they don't get replaced. They actually get repaired. You have to sand the shit out of it. Our teacher would gouge a fucking thing, and you'd have to sand that plexiglass until that scratch was gone. So you literally have to sand a whole fucking window. I'm sure they use automatic sanders now, but we had to use our fucking hands. You'd dig a fucking gouge in that thing and have to take away all that material. It was great on your body. You know, I lost the skin on both my hands and my feet. That was a strange one. I would have expected, you know, if you're fucking around with chemicals, to lose the skin on your hands, but I lost the skin on my feet too. So that means something was internal. That was a wild one. I was handling a lot of
That's interesting.
a lot of methane and shit like that. Air coil, acetone and shit like that. A lot of that stuff on my hands. But anyway, yeah, man, that was a hell of a gig of schooling. That was I don't know why the fuck. What were we talking about? What the fuck was the part of conversation?
We went on and on about what we were talking about, all different classes we had taken in school and in college.
Oh, the classes. Yeah. I did all that. And then I ended up going back after that program that I learned all that stuff in. That was like what was that? That was 120. That was 120 college credit. No, that was 60 college credit, 60 transferable college credit. This is like 120 total college credit hours. Like 60 of them are transferable, 60 or 80 or something like that are transferable. And I ended up going back to Schoolcraft for a little while and getting into a math class. And it was probably like some other calculus one or something. And it was just not happening. I ended up dropping back out of college after that. And it was just, but I have my certificate on top of my college, on top of my high school diploma. I've only got in university, I've got like 60 or 80 credits, but in total, dude, I'm at like 200 college credit hours in total, something like that.
They're looking, I don't know if they did it or not, but I remember they were looking to reduce the required credit hours. For college credit hours, you might have enough now to qualify to be a substitute teacher. You can make some good money doing some easy work there.
Yeah, you only needed like, what was the number? It was like 60 or something like that back then.
I can't remember. I know that I don't have enough because I quickly went and I was like, I'll do that job.
So right out of high school, I actually worked at my high school. While I was going to Wayne State, I applied to get they began in 2003, 2004, right after I graduated. They started a program called a college mentor program, where the new freshman class, the class, you know, I'd go sit in with a whole classroom, would get a college mentor. They'd get somebody who was in college and got to, you know, it would basically almost like a counselor, like a young counselor, to work with the students, because they felt that the students weren't comfortable enough working like with the older counselors, telling them stuff, feeling comfortable enough just like being at a new school. So we were there as kind of like support group and also like teacher aides at the same time. So we would go in and be teacher aides with people. And one of the fucking teachers there, he was like fresh out of college. He was like 23 years old, young dude. You know what I mean? He's talking to me about taking mushrooms to Miami and going on teacher vacation and shit like that, you know, and I'm not a student, you know, I'm a worker there too. So we're talking, well, I'm 19 years old. I had just graduated high school. I was just so happened to like be in college that year. So I'm telling him about how I was at a party with some of my friends who were students, you know what I mean? And I was at a party and whatever, and I was just talking about, I don't know what we were doing, probably smoking or something. And I'm telling them about probably some good weed we had or something like that. I ended up getting fucking fired for fucking smoking weed with the students, they said. Well, you motherfucker. He fucking ratted me out, dude. And it was like 2 years I was his TA. You know what I mean? He'd come in. He was the cool fucking teacher. You know, no, he was a fucking cocksucker. You know who you are, fucking Danik, you motherfucker.
Wow. How do you really feel about that?
Yeah, he knows who he is.
Haven't let that one go yet, huh?
Oh, I'll say his fucking name. Because I got fired because of him. Lost a fucking career, motherfucker. Just because I went to a party with not some fucking students, my fucking friends. They're my fucking friends. They were a year younger than me. We went to the same fucking school, you piece of shit. Danik, you motherfucker. I won't say your first name.
Would it be something if he was actually watching this, or is at least able to see it?
Something. This motherfucker that deserves
That
a
would be wonderful.
fucking face. You piece of shit. You fucking backstabbing motherfucker. Everybody loves you when you're down and out. Nobody sees you when you're on cloud nine.
But you know, Red, you gotta look back at that and say that was a nudge in the direction to where you're at now. You may never.
Yeah, maybe.
Man.
I still love teaching people. That's the thing. You see, that's why I'm on here.
Yeah, but you may be reaching more people this way.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, piece of shit. Still a piece of shit. He's a fucking piece of shit. Probably doing cocaine in the fucking morning and fucking telling on people fucking smoking weed in the evening. Piece of shit. You know what it was, dude? You know what it was? Because they're having a whole bunch of teachers were about to be what's it called? Where they give you a severance. And
What it was your classic. Look at this person. Don't look at me. That's what that sounds like.
That's exactly what it was.
That's what that sounds like.
And
as a union student, I've been in unions for a long time.
Yeah, dude. No.
I see it in every business. I see it all the time. The person pointing the finger, look at them. That's the person you want to look at.
Motherfucker.
9 out of 10 times.
Yeah. Anyway, that whole scenario did end up. Let's see. After that, I was working for a skate park for a little while, and then working at
all these times, did you have any interest in plants at all? Like, were you growing anything at that time?
At that time, I had already sprouted cannabis seeds in my window many times. I was trying to sprout cannabis. I had sprouted cannabis seeds 25 years ago when I was 14 years old in the window at my parents' house. And I remember the next summer, my mom asking what I was growing in the window. And I told her I was trying to grow some maple trees, you know, the little whirly birds that fall.
Yeah.
Grow some maple trees. I took that plant down into the woods behind my house after it got, I had about 4 little sets of leaves and it was getting big. I had taken a couple of them in my backyard and I'm like, oh man, put them in a little bucket, had 3 little plants in a bucket, 5-gallon bucket, only about that much soil in the bottom of the bucket. So the plants weren't creeping off the top of the bucket. I was thinking that the bucket was a little shelter for them, and I was like 14. I'm like 14 years old. This is bag seed. I'd love to find those seeds today. So I take them down to the woods behind my house, there's two fucking 14-year-old kids walking with a bucket, and a backpack and some shit.
Not suspicious at all.
Woods, not suspicious at all, right? Past all the neighbors' houses, down to the woods.
In the broad daylight.
Down to the woods. But I had been in the woods for a while. All the trails are there, and I thought I found a fucking spot, dude. It was between 2 trails. The trees were tall. And there was a nice clearing. Nice little open with tall grass. Nobody's fucking in the tall grass. There's ticks, you know what I mean? People go for walks with their dogs. You can't see the bucket, you know what I mean? So we go down there, and we put this fucking bucket down there. And I nurture it. I water it. They're getting a little bit bigger. I don't know anything about weed. I don't know that there's a seasonality to it. I'm thinking that I'm going to go back and I'm going to get some leaves off the plant. I'm going to smoke some weed. You know what I mean? So a couple weeks later, I go on vacation. I go help my uncle work. I was working at a machine shop when I was 13, 14 years old. So I would stay weeks with my uncle down in Toledo, and he would take me to his machine shop, and I was a shop boy. I'd paint machinery. I'd listen to people swear and spit and chew tobacco and fucking I'd be covered in paint and fucking I'd be smelling paint thinner all day and fucking, giggling, sneaking cigarettes out back of the shop and shit like that, and that was my 12, 13, 14-year-old summer, and I got paychecks. I ended up making some decent money doing that as a kid. I bought a trampoline and some shit like that.
Shit.
It was fun stuff. And yeah,
buy some fertilizer for your plants.
Oh man, I went home and the plant was gone. The bucket was torn up. Like they mowed the grass and the bucket was like,
oh
no, not at first. At first the bucket was just there and empty. And I was like, motherfucker, so like I didn't really think anything of it. But then a few weeks later I went down there and like the grass was mowed and the bucket was torn up. So I was like, oh, this is an area that's like utilized, like at least mowed or whatever. But that dude that I went down there with to put that bucket in place, that motherfucker tried selling me a little medicine bottle, a little fucking film canister filled with some shaky ass weed, dude. And I think that was that fucking sell me my fucking plant, dude. This dude tried to sell, and that was when I stopped fucking trusting people. Right, fucking there, dude. He was quote unquote a friend. He was one of those bus stop friends. We were at the bus stop together. He was a fucking dude. You know what I mean? I can't remember his name. I fucking call you out too, motherfucker. I'm kidding. I prefer to call out the other one.
That's interesting because the bucket was a nice trick back in the day, in the Gorilla Grow day, because you could put a plant in a bucket like that, put a little bit more soil in it, but it would make your plant mobile. So like,
yeah, you can move it around.
Yeah, so you can move it over by the pond one fucking week, and the next week, I think they might be seeing it. Someone move it over here. You can move your fucking plants all over the place.
Dude.
Or some people do that same shit, hang them off of branches and trees, try to hide them in the trees from the flyovers.
My dad would tell me stories about him growing up at his parents' house in like the late 60s, maybe early 70s, probably late 60s, and them throwing seeds that they got probably out of bags or whatever at like right next to the railroad tracks behind the house. So it's like I don't know, probably a house with a fence and then the railroad tracks behind it. And it's like yeah, we grew it for a while. Started getting big. We're getting all excited about all these leaves on it because at the time that's what they thought they smoked was the leaves, And he's like, you see, these get so big that one day my mom comes out. My mom starts swearing. I know you boys planted those. You better go get that shit out of here.
They usually grow real good by the railroad tracks there too, because the ground is broken up and fertile.
Oh, how do you know, Mr. Nut Tree?
And that ditchweed.
Yeah.
My dad said that my grandma used to grow it back in Oregon. I think it was Oregon, wherever the hell they're, either California or Oregon. They moved around a lot when he was a kid, but she would grow it. Either she or his great grandma, something like that. So like growing it way back in the day, way the fuck back in the day.
At a certain point, you go far back enough, and it was just normal.
It was normal. I know. Yeah.
They grew hemp for. I mean, that's how we got here on hemp sales, hemp rope.
You go, and my dad was born in the 40s, right?
Hemp for victory, bro.
My dad was born in the late 40s. So his mom was born in like the 20s, and her mom was born in like the early century, late 1800s, something like that. So yeah, I mean, they were definitely in the era where hemp and cannabis was a common thing, It wasn't scrutinized like it was. Even when my dad was born, it was barely getting off. It definitely wasn't the war on drugs yet. He didn't even that wasn't even a thing when my dad was a kid. I'm sure it was just like, don't smoke weed. You know, weed's bad. It's taxed or whatever. It's no longer taxed. It's illegal. What they have before I think the FBI was a thing by then, or the DEA. The DEA made it come on. Might have not come on until Nixon, possibly. But unless it was Anslinger went
1973.
73 was the DEA. Was
Yeah.
it Federal Bureau of Narcotics before then? FBN?
No, it was established on July 1st, 1973 by Reorganization Plan Number 2.
And who's
the Nixon?
Look up the FBN, because I think that there was an organization before the DEA that handled. There wasn't a controlled substance.
Federal Bureau of Narcotics. The FBN was an agency of the United States Department of the Treasury, established in the Department of the Treasury by
Taxation.
an act of June 14th, 1930, consolidating the functions of the Federal Narcotic Control Board and the Narcotic Division. So there was even before that.
And then look up the name Henry Anslinger.
Oh God, I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole, bro. You're gonna upset me tonight doing that.
Well, if you go through his name, you know who's gonna pop up also.
Give it to me.
Rockefeller.
Oh, well, stop it.
Hearst.
Guys, you guys want to talk about food, or is it too early?
DuPont. And quite possibly even what's her name? Not Ella Fitzgerald. Who's the jazz artist? She had that song Strange Fruit. Dude, somebody in chat knows who I'm talking about, but she was highly targeted by the FBN. She was
Billie Holiday.
Holiday, thank you. She was. There's a movie about this actually, and her, and the hatred of the FBN and specifically Harry Anslinger and her. A lot of it had to do with the fact that she was a public figure. She was a black public figure, and he was very racist, and he also didn't like anybody that did drugs, and she was addicted to. She had a heroin addiction, and in the jazz culture, there's just a lot of cannabis and drug use. So police in general and the agency in general just had a very, very large distaste for the jazz culture, the beatnik culture, and things like that. Any under subculture that had to do with
and that came all the way from Nixon.
This was before Nixon. This is
1939, man. She was 23 years
Oh,
old.
well, shit. I remember Nixon and his speeches, all the shit. He fucking hated jazz and fucking anybody had anything to do with it too.
That was the whole war on drugs.
They were comparing. They were it was like you can't have one without the other or something. And so like, and this was before cannabis prohibition, 1939. It was just at the wake of it, and that's why they were going after her for and that's why they talk about cannabis prohibition being such bullshit, because of what was going on with Anslinger, the FBN, and basically him needing more support to put away minorities and people of, other social cultures. You know what I mean? And he just hated people so much that he created more substances to be illegal, cannabis being one of them. And then it wasn't just Anslinger and the FBN that made cannabis illegal, because they had the support of the large business that was at hand, which the biggest one was the oil industry. So bring in the Rothschilds, and then the plastic industry, bring in the DuPonts. And I believe the other one was the logging industry. So bring in the Hearst family. And the three of them, along with Anslinger, are four major reasons that the federal government put the taxation on cannabis at first, and then finally made it a illegal controlled substance. And then Nixon, 30 years later, 40 years later, created the Controlled Substance Act and made it as harmful as heroin. The plant as harmful as heroin, not just the substance THC. While the opium poppy was not controlled at all, only the alkaloid, morphine, codeine, etc. were scheduled.
cannabis is easier to grow for the government, so that was how they financed their FBI
Poppies are very
operation.
easy to grow. Poppies are very
Make-
easy to grow. They
No,
just-
no, for the FBI to finance all their operations, they did that with a lot of the cannabis trade. So if they artificially inflate the prices by making it deathly illegal, then
I could see that. I think conspiracy lies more in opium than it does in cannabis. But yeah, I agree with you. I think because this opium's not even poppies aren't even scheduled. The opium itself is only Schedule 2, and the heroin has to be cooked all the way down and refined into heroin.
I ate some poppy seeds today. They're not hard to get a hold of.
Mhm.
They're on my bagel this morning. They're good.
Yeah, as long as they're cooked, and that's what I mean. You can have the seeds as long as they're deactivated. You know what I mean? It's fucking bullshit. It's all a bunch of fucking hockey pokey. It's stupid. None of that makes any sense.
I mean, it's regulations. Scott K's got a question for us. Any thoughts? I know I told him we discussed this literally a minute one last night, but any thoughts on the report that Michigan led the nation in per capita spending with $305 per Michigan resident for a total of just over $3 billion in the year 2023? Colorado came in second at $290 per resident.
Is this on cannabis or?
Oh yeah, cannabis. So we talked about it at the very beginning of the show last night. We set a monthly record for about $276 million in sales, I believe, in the month of December. We totaled right around maybe just over $3 billion in sales for the year of 2023. Pretty solid.
305 per resident. I was saying that, I'm smoking for at least 6 or 7 residents.
right. but not from the dispensary. You're not spending that much.
Oh, I'm not spending that money. That's true. I'm actually,
yeah.
I'm skewing it the other way, I guess.
Yeah. See, that's the same here, man. Like,
so
it's tourism. I really think it's a lot of tourism.
There's a lot of tourism for sure. Look at the states around us.
Yeah, we have a lot of borders. We have a lot of states around us that don't have legal weed. We have an entire
Ohio
country
just became legal, so that's going to be interesting to see if the $3 billion comes down now with Ohio. Although Ohio prices might stay elevated for a while, and people still drive out here for the cheaper prices.
I mean, I guess we're kind of still lucky that Illinois
is
a limited license state. Let's just hope that Illinois remains a limited license state.
No, don't say that. I want Illinois to freaking loosen up. They need to loosen up. That's for anything.
Well, I mean, I guess not me personally.
standpoint,
the dispensary. I was a dispensary, right? We're not.
Yeah, I mean, we got Indiana. Indiana's going to be a holdout. Let's be real.
Illinois is medical and rec. They just don't allow a whole lot of growing.
And then there's also Wisconsin as well, which I believe
Wisconsin's a big one.
Potential, yeah.
Has not.
No, they're big into alcohol there. They're not much convinced on
and cheese.
They like their cheese. I'm really curious. So if that's just numbers that have been registered through Metric, is that like just a 3? Was that you said 3 billion? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's public numbers. Yeah, they're not Metric, but
the report was just released maybe a week or two ago.
If you go back to 2018 and 2019, they foreshadowed by 2024 a $3 billion market. Do you think there's a coincidence there?
No, it might be good math.
Yeah, it just might be good projections. I mean, let's go back and hire those people to work on our shit.
Yeah,
seriously,
I was like the CRA dude. I don't believe him.
That's too high. That's too that's too conspiracy theory for me to even get on board with. Honestly,
the rumor has it that the C doesn't stand for cannabis anymore. It stands for cops.
We can end on that. Oh my goodness, that's too good.
So
you working on you working bits on us? You doing a
yeah, man.
What do you think? What do you think that number is?
All credit to weed.
What's your guess on what that number is actually? If you consider all producers, not just Metric producers,
double it, at least double it.
Yeah.
But think about all the shit that's flying off the Metric shelves under the, that's like not going through metric, I guess.
Where do you
Put it
think
that way.
that's going? Do you think that's going out of state, or do you think that's going?
I think a lot is
Where
going
else
out
would
of
it go?
state. I think a lot is going out of
Yeah.
state
I'm
because
curious
that's just about money.
of Oklahoma's location. And
Well, they're also bringing it in. You know, it goes both ways.
bringing it
That's for
too.
sure.
Right. Yeah. So how much of that is coming in from Oregon and Oklahoma,
Probably Oklahoma.
and then going back out? Right.
Well, I think
I don't worry about them. That's not my market. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'm on the craft scene. I'm trying to stick in my lane.
And I don't worry about it either. But
it's
but
fun
you
to
see,
talk about.
you see it in the craft scene though. You see it in the craft scene. You see
I do, but I don't think it compares with craft. So to me, it's like you're just that is coming to the wrong scene.
Where I say that is that you'll see, and thankfully the Third Eye event, he doesn't work with like distributors and shit like that.
Right.
Don't see
Quote unquote trappers.
You don't have people just walking in saying, "Hey, can I get 6 pounds?"
Yeah. So you don't see pyramids of pounds sitting on the table, which is pretty risky, honestly. That's how a lot of these events do get shut down. So
Yeah.
What you say? Pyramids of cones?
Pyramids of pounds. Pyramids of pounds.
Yeah. Turkey bags, the turkey bag.
Yeah, I got you. No, I 100% get it.
Which I'm sure there's a decent amount of it that is, and there are the guys that like have in-house stuff grown. They have a big warehouse and they're just moving their stuff, or they have a big field and they're moving stuff. But there's a big part of me that just thinks that there's a lot of it coming in through oversupply from Oregon and Oklahoma, and maybe even now in New York with some of the ways that they're being.
It's still going to New York from here.
Okay,
Yeah.
Trust that.
So coming in here just to kind of sit and get moldy for a little bit, but then leaving. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's what Cali did to us for a decade. So
Yeah. So like it's coming in and then it's leaving. But like also what I'm seeing is that it's coming in with the people that grew it, and then it's being sold here to people out of state, and then everybody leaves. Right? So like you got these events, and like the vendors aren't necessarily vetted to be Michigan. If the events
not like
Michigan,
craft fair now.
Yeah, like you could be from Oklahoma, and you could be an Oklahoma grower and bring your crop up here and sell it at one of those events to people from Indiana. So unless any of those parties are like maybe buying gas up here or like spending money at a restaurant or hopefully a small business,
maybe
none of that money stays in the state of Michigan. It's only exchanged here. You know what I mean? There's a complete loss of commerce for us as residents of Michigan. You know what I mean?
I think more importantly,
gas, maybe get something to eat.
That's what I'm saying is hopefully they're getting gas and get something to eat. They're not just coming to cop.
But at the same time, like
get a hotel
you bring up something interesting is the fact that it could be literally just a place for a transaction to happen.
It's for a transaction.
Whereas, even if one of the parties were a resident, there's at least some, we'll call it recuperation there, right?
Right. Yeah.
But if we have, I'll just call it a quote unquote trapper, slanging bags or whatever. It's so bad with this lingo. And then you've got someone from another state coming in to buy it and bring it to their state or whatever. Then it's like there's nothing. It's just like it's ghosts. It's all ghosts, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's not really helping us at all. And they are utilizing our roads. Damn it,
exactly.
Our roads are expensive.
Exactly. Yeah, you're coming up. You're adding to the pothole usage. You're not really contributing to the taxation that we do pay for.
But I think that I mean, they're certainly spending some money.
But the market's changing. Ohio just legalized. Things are gonna.
Well, we don't have an online economy though. Think about like eBay and that kind of shit. Like, I mean, Amazon and. It's all just a network of.
Bezos has been trying to get his Amazon weed. It just hasn't happened yet.
For real.
Damn.
He's positioning every.
You better believe as soon as Federal drops, he's got that going.
Oh, you don't think he's going to be the number one Walmart of weed? You got something else coming to you.
Well, I don't think I'll have to partake in it myself.
No, those proverbial you. Not do you
He'll
maybe not
probably
the cure.
require he'll probably require some sort of a license, you know, and you'll have to have your operator's permit and all your ducks in a row.
Oh, you're talking about for a supplier standpoint. We were thinking from like I mean, you got an Amazon account, you're gonna be able to buy that shit.
Not
You
a
know?
purchaser standpoint. I'm thinking of a supplier standpoint. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, think about the suppliers that they have now. I mean, they have 10, I would say tens, but it's probably maybe hundreds of thousands of suppliers. It's just a marketplace, right? So they just go through a pretty basic approval process until you start getting up the ranks to the point you are the Amazon warehouse. It says it sells and ships from Amazon, but it's not. It's actually just from that business. They just are licensed by Amazon to do that shipping, you know?
Yeah, just buy bulk flour on the marketplace, white label it to Amazon, whatever Yippee Dippy do or whatever the hell.
Yeah, rename it, whatever runs, whatever hype strain there is.
None of those products are controlled substances though. Like I'd imagine that they would do some stricter.
But if they're supplying this, I doubt it's going to be a controlled substance.
I don't know. Do they supply other controlled substances?
I mean, they have their prescription service now. Yeah.
So if it goes Schedule 3,
well, they could do it either way. Yeah, but I'm just saying,
I'd imagine. I don't think we could sell pharmaceuticals on the prescription thing though, as just independent.
Say that again. You don't think?
I don't think, like if we just had a Amazon account, a sales account, we could sell controlled.
Not if it was Schedule 3. You're right about that for sure.
If it was descheduled, but still, what's the legality about selling? I just don't see him doing deschedule. I see him linking it up there with tobacco and alcohol. It's going to be put with like the ATF or something. Is my guess. They're going.
I mean, the way they want their money grubbing hands on this, it seems like there's no way we're going to get around some sort of crazy stupid tax.
Well, I mean,
but I think,
like, why wouldn't they? I mean, they have tobacco linked under the ATF. Why wouldn't they put cannabis under the ATF?
ATFE.
ATF. What would be ATFC?
No, ATFE. Do you know what E stands for?
No.
Do you know what ATF stands for?
Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms.
And explosives.
Yeah.
They added that in at some point in the last like 15 years.
So ATFEC. Wow, it's just going to keep getting bigger.
I don't think cannabis should be regulated with all of those things that could cause damage where cannabis can't. So I would say it's more of an herbal.
I don't think it should either.
It should be recommended. It should be treated like an herbal medicine.
I don't think it should either.
Let's think about this for real though. What 3 to 7 letter agency do you think is going to get control of this? Because we already see that. What was it? The DHS? What? Not Department of Homeland Security. It was one of the medical
Health and Human Services.
Yes, HHS. They were already trying to claim some sort of at least representation there, right? And I think that's their way of putting their hat in the ring and saying, "Hey, maybe we want."
Oh, they were directed to by Biden.
Okay,
so that was their report. So that they submitted it to DEA. DEA is going to review that evidence in big quotation marks. There, I'm using evidence.
Right. I think the point remains that they're throwing their hat in the ring. Now, DEA, of course, steps on their toes.
They were directed to. They did. I mean, if I was told to do something, I'm not really considering that throwing my hat in the ring. I was fucking told to do it.
Yeah, but I think that if your boss tells you to throw your hat in the ring, you throw your hat in the ring, Spartan. I don't think that matters whether you want to or not. Like,
I always thought throwing your hat in the ring means you're willingly deciding to do something. Like, yep.
All right. Well, the organization put their suggestion in, and I think in a roundabout way, they're getting involved, right? And so the DEA came through and said, no, this is our territory. You know, F off. This is, gang style. Like, you're not as big as us.
Didn't happen. That didn't happen at all. The Department of Health and Human Services took their findings and their suggestion, and they gave it to the DEA. The DEA didn't jump on them. The DEA has the final word on it because
didn't they make that very known that they have the final word on that?
Probably because it was asked by them a lot. I don't know. I would imagine they did.
Just recently, the paper. The white paper that went to the DEA from HHS has been released, and it's some very large doc. It's like a 300-page doc.
Well, originally it was released, but it was redacted by 80%. So this lawyer sued them and under Freedom of Information and got an unredacted
So
Copy.
you're able to see what is actually in this document, and there's reasoning from the HHS on why cannabis should be rescheduled. So it has to do with its medical potential. So I haven't actually read this paper, but it does have to do with the
Or it's just all the evidence they
must
collected.
have to do with the medical potential, at least from what I understand. So,
Their recommendation was to go to Schedule 3.
and their recommendation was to go to Schedule 3 as a pharmaceutical. Now, the DEA, I believe, is taking into consideration everything that is going on with the states and how.
Contacted groups in Michigan, I've heard, and the recommendation that they were given from these groups, the activist groups here in Michigan, was to create its own schedule.
Schedule 5 or something like that.
Well, you can call it whatever the fuck you want to call it, right? It could be a number, it could be a letter, it could be whatever, but its own schedule because it's such a unique substance. It's different than everything else. It's difficult that it doesn't fit in with anything else.
I think what they were calling it was Schedule 5.
Okay, Schedule 5. And I think it was ASA. ASA was the one that was contacted, America for Safe Access. But I thought that was an interesting take on it. I like that.
Put it in its own schedule, and I mean,
Like I think end goal, it should just be a herbal, unregulated herbal medicine. But
Tomatoes,
yeah.
caffeine.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
at worst.
yeah. It should be like caffeine, like
At worst.
you can grow datura, you can grow any of that, you can grow more ring.
I'll be happy with every step in that direction. Though I'm not going to be mad if they do Schedule 3. I'm not going to be pissed off about it. Every step in the direction of it being
I got a perfect
restricted, I'm going to be okay. I'm
I have
going
a
to be
perfect example right here. I'm not supposed to show you the hall, guys. Okay, Becca's.
This is what I was talking about.
I'm not supposed to show you the hall, but I will show you an example of hypocrisy to best.
Oh, right. It's because everybody's talking about how it's supposed to be. Oh, it's set in stone that it's going to be Schedule 3. And DEA's like, no, we haven't made our fucking decision yet. That was just a recommendation to us.
Moonflower.
Moonflower.
Oh,
Nice.
look at that thing. Nice.
Moonflower, baby. For our evening gardeners out there, grow yourself some moonflower. Now, what's funny about the moonflower is, it'll tell you it's toxic. It'll tell you it's poisonous. It'll tell you it's poisonous to animals. A lot of times they don't tell you how these things are poisonous. It's actually psychoactive. It's actually has a component in there, lysergic. It's a lysergic acid. It's LSA. It's different than lysergic acid diethylamide. It's I don't know what the A on that. Maybe it's just the acid form, but it's one of the precursors. It's a precursor. There's many to diethylamide, and it's a similar effect, a more toned down effect. But nonetheless, the plant and the flowers and the seeds contain LSA. Many plants do, but that's very similar to LSD. Yeah, LSD is derived from a fungus, which is not illegal. Rye grain is what grows that fungus, and our farmers all throughout the world grow rye grain everywhere. It's a huge bunch of fucking hokey on these illegality fucking laws. You can very easily get moonflower seeds, and I mean you could order a couple packs of those seeds. I don't advise it, you know what I mean, and do what you do, you know what I mean. I prefer to grow them. They're beautiful botanical, you know what I mean. But in fact, it's ill-advised to consume these seeds from box stores or anything like that, because they do spray them with kind of like tamper-proof additives, so to speak, so that it'll make you sick, it'll disrupt your digestive system, and you'll throw them up. So you really
Kind of fucked up.
Yeah, you get fucked up in a different way. But that doesn't mean that, the precursors of all of these other analogs and drugs that are otherwise criminalized or controlled, they grow botanically and are allowed to grow. You can't even grow the cannabis plant, it should be allowed to grow, just like you can grow a moonflower plant. And then based on what you do with it, where's your post-processing of it? What are you caught with? Should be handled. And honestly, you shouldn't be doing federal time. That's for fucking sure. If anything, you should have to fucking, I don't know, smoke it. You know what I mean? Nothing. Make you fucking eat it. Eat it in the fucking bag, dude. If you're giving it to children or something like that, yeah, I mean, sure, maybe there's a criminality, or maybe I don't know, dude. Like it's stupid. People go to fucking prison for any fucking plant thing. Like, yeah, we have noxious weed laws. I'm not allowed to grow willows. I'm not allowed to grow fucking elderberries, or not elderberry, but fucking mulberries. I'm not allowed to grow a lot of these things. So if the township wants to fucking throw it in there, let them fucking deal with it. You know what I mean? We don't need to be treated like children.
I got nightshade growing in my fucking front yard. They ain't saying shit to me about that.
She probably doesn't like it. Yeah.
That would kill fucking a lot of people.
And dogs.
I won't even go near it. I'm like, I don't even want to get that shit on me, honestly. I just let it die in the cold.
Yeah, I mean, if anything that you're growing for yourself, like I like to think that we have like it's lack of a better term, God-given rights. These rights that you're grow your food, grow your medicine. You can have a little piece of property, even okay if they're only going to give us a little piece. Allow it to be clean. Don't percolate no fucking aerosols on us from above. I'm not into that shit. Let us keep our soils clean. Let us keep our health clean. Allow us to do it. You know what I mean? Don't force us to.
Well, yeah, and shout out to Bergen Chat. He put it perfect like that. Not one person's ever overdosed and died from cannabis use. So it's like all these over protections. Where are the bodies? Show me the fucking bodies where you need to have all
Show me the bodies.
You can't even concentrate enough to do any harm to anybody. Worst is going to happen is someone's going to have a bad night.
I love that. You can't even concentrate long enough to do any harm. It's pretty true.
Could you imagine eating that much oil? Like your teeth would stick together.
Wait, how much oil?
I don't know. How much oil do you need? You need at least a handful of these fucking syringes. You'd be impossible.
Oh, you would sleep so long.
Yeah, you'd sleep for a couple of days. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure. Well, shout out variables. We had fucking Professor Dab on last week, and I'm pretty certain he claimed that he tried to overdose on cannabis. Like he tried, like was just taking anything and everything he could get his hands on. To see how. Well, I think he was just trying to see how high he could get. Like it was one of those things. It wasn't actually like trying to overdose, but it was like, it's like they say you can't. Like, and I think there's a ceiling to this, right? And I think that's what he was saying. I gotta go back and listen. I was sitting there like, wait, hold on, he's doing what? But this week, Friday on Variables, I hope to see you all there. We're gonna have Red Center Farm. Woo!
All that. That's cool. That's exciting.
About that. Yeah. Another one of the MBGS panel on there.
It's going to be fun. It's been a long, long, long wait.
Super late. We're getting started basically at this time of night.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always go late.
Oh, too much sometimes.
Yeah. Much love to Pedro. You guys, I'm sure you do that because of his time zone.
Yeah, it's a mix, dude. All three of us have young kids, so that's part of it. Like, just making sure we're past the time of bedtime, and sometimes the bedtime comes back up. It's not like it's the first bedtime, second bedtime, or third bedtime. But yeah, part of it's also that he's in Colorado time, so he's not quite West Coast, but it also allows us to kind of hit a little bit of the both sides of the country, if you will. But all in all, it's posted on YouTube, Twitch, X, freaking all three of our YouTube, Twitches, and X's, and then also I'm posting it on
that's cool.
Spotify and just I don't know where we're getting podcasts. So you got audio, video versions literally everywhere. It's fun stuff. But yeah, actually, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, we are actually booked all the way through until March. So we have the next 5 weeks of guests already planned.
Nice.
Yeah. Very excited about that. This is
I definitely enjoy watching
for us. Thanks. I appreciate that. It's fun conversations.
Yeah.
How prepared are you for hash bash?
We're getting there, man. I'm never fully prepared. I'm just trying to get through the last week and this week and try to prep for this event on Sunday.
Sunday, 28.
Yeah, craft
28.
fair back at the Flesh. I'll be there. Flowers curing already, but well, I guess I still have to trim up the garlic punch, do it a final manicure. But excuse me, all the extracts still have to be ran. So I'm like kind of getting down on the wire. I got other things I got to get to, and then I can finally get to that. I know I'll have it done in time, but it'll definitely just be batters this weekend, no sauces.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited. You guys will finally get to try my chem cookies and the sugar cone. So I'm excited for you guys to try that.
And I'm gonna have some beef jerky for
Oh,
you.
yay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I went to this little small country market here in town. It's not even in town. It was about 30 minutes from here with my boss and her dad. It's his family's country butcher, actually.
Nice.
And they have their own hogs and goats. And so I was really hoping I was going to get some jerky while I was there, and didn't get any jerky, but I got some bologna that I'd never witnessed before. That was like not Khan's bologna. It was like,
Was it holy bologna?
no, it's like it reminds you of like a summer sausage. It looks like it does not
Really?
look like Khan's. You know, we all know what Khan's looks like, so this looked more like a salami summer sausage, but tasted like bologna. And they only used pork shoulder and beef shoulder, nothing else, to make the bologna. Wow, it is so yummy. So yummy. No preservatives, anything like that. I got some real thick cut bacon. But yeah, that was a real fun experience.
Dude, did you ever have that fucking, what is it, like bologna with olives or like pickle loaf or some shit like that? Is that what it's
Not a fan, but I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
I think it's
I
called
used-
pickle loaf.
I used to like it when I was younger. I can't stand it now.
I do not like that at all.
Yeah, no thanks.
The most I'll do is like a peppered loaf. There's like this peppered beef kind of that's
Got like the
sliced,
green
not
and red or something.
pastrami, but it's like I don't know. It's
Oh.
got like a crust on just the top. So I'll try that, but I don't do any of that other kind of crap.
Well, I'm glad we're talking about food now because I forget who it was last night. I pulled up those chocolate chip cookies, and I've got some.
That was
It
the
was Dan.
Woo!
So and Dan, yeah.
Nice.
So I can't wait to get some of that stuff this weekend too. I'm excited. I've been missing out on some good stuff. But yeah, I'll have my Cowboy Yeti with us. I'll have all of our new flour with us. So I'm excited
Nice.
to see everybody this weekend and
Looking
share
forward
that.
to it. Make sure you roll up a couple we can share. I'll
Oh, yeah,
bring some
definitely.
too.
You know how he is. He's always got a jar full for us.
Have some pre-rolls ready.
Yeah, definitely.
I was thinking something about your hats. I don't know if you're going to ready to make any more, or if you're not. But something cool. I would like to see it. Not saying do you have to do this or anything, but just an idea. That little flower symbol you have there in the middle. Maybe put like something. Yeah, that word right there. Put it on the back. The hat in the middle there too would be. I don't know, something that.
Or just the
Dude,
word,
I like it.
Or just the word GMO. That might be cool.
GMO.
I
Yeah,
know-
I'll get
I know
some hats
somebody
made
that-
up for baked, maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
Or like you got me thinking now because there definitely is a lot of white room on the back of that. And you could put like a single source or something like that. You know,
Yeah,
There you go.
That'd be
craft,
cool.
craft,
That'd be
craft
cool, too.
versus everybody. I don't know.
That way, depending on which way you've got it, you're,
Mm-hmm.
promoting each way.
craft versus everybody. That's fun.
Yeah.
I like it.
Or just craft cares.
Craft cares. You put the craft puts the C in care.
It puts the. Never mind. That was a lame joke. Never mind.
I know where you're going with that. I think, but well, never mind.
I don't think you do, but I like where you're going with this. Would you like to expand,
We
Nuttree?
probably don't want to know where he was going with it. So
No.
Don't fall into that trap.
he thinks differently sometimes.
It'd be an old well trap down the well. Lotion in the basket.
Oh,
It puts the lotion on its skin or it gets the hose again.
oh.
That's where I was going with that. It is a late sesh.
It is. Welcome to.
So yeah,
You guys had an issue going live.
Pledge and- I'm sorry, Red. What'd you say?
You guys had an issue going live on your Instagrams.
Whenever I do, I don't have an issue.
I tried going live recently, and it told me that my content wasn't allowed to go live anymore.
Where were you at?
In my backyard, where I usually go live.
I wonder if you're shadow banned for some reason.
Probably.
Did you have clothes on, Red?
Huh.
No.
Oh, there it is. That's the problem.
Again. What did
Yeah,
we
I
tell
mean,
you about that?
every time I've gone live, even at like events,
I know.
Ooh, they just got
People
warped
City, I
away.
went. Oh, speaking of stuff, glitch.
It's, there's,
You're back.
yeah, they keep taking down my posts from the Fledge and stuff like that. So,
Oh, huh. Damn, I bet that's what it is then. Somebody's probably being an asshole and reporting it.
There's that, probably.
Yeah, there's always somebody that reports my shit from time to time, and then I'm shadow banned for a while, and then I'm like, whatever, fuckers, and I'll lay off putting anything. I haven't
I always fight it. I always say, no, put it back under review.
Yeah.
some stuff I fight.
I've lost those appeals and reviews, and then I've also tried to report like very vulgar things, like about murdering, like shit. I'm like, I don't want to fucking read this shit. You know what I mean? People being very, very vulgar. I've tried to report, and it'll come back like, "We're sorry, but this does not," you know. This
Oh, yeah, I tried to report people as stealing my fucking pictures and
yeah,
using my account, and it comes back and says, that's fine. It's not against community standards.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Fuck.
Yeah, they'll allow so much shit to go, but they won't allow fucking you to post some pictures of your herb.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're like cracking down, which I hadn't noticed that they really had been, because honestly, I haven't posted anything in a while because I had been shadow banned because somebody was reporting my shit. But
you know what I think? Here's what I think. I think that they got some stupid fucking ties with some MSO. That's what I think. Meta's probably fucking Curaleaf or some bullshit.
oh well, you never know.
That's what I mean.
You never know.
Probably got fucking stock in it. So
Crazy things have happened. Huh?
or their moderators do. You know what I mean? The moderators got fucking.
I mean, I know you cannot put anything on. I mean, it's so hard to post stuff even on TikTok. I try, and stuff on there just immediately gets taken down and reported. And so, yeah, I don't know. Instagram's like basically the last place that you can like show your stuff. And
Twitter or X, I mean, it's supposed to. I don't have one, but I heard that X is supposed to be
you
friendly.
know, I never got into Twitter or X that it's called now. I never ever could get into it. That's not my speed for some. I don't know. That's like Seinfeld to me. You know what I mean? That's like things I don't get in life, and that is like one of the things.
Because it was only like your quote of the day, I never got into it. You know what I mean?
so-
But now that I guess it's like videos and pictures and stuff like that, it's a little bit more social media based.
yeah, I haven't checked.
Probably easier to advertise and get into it. And now that it's actually maybe a little more open forum or less censored, it might be more of an option. Being that, like I said, for all I know, these moderators got stock in Curaleaf. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, not that I'm one to like stir conspiracy or anything.
No.
I don't know. I just like I don't put much faith into a lot of this. Like technology is one thing if it was like not controlled by someone else's opinion. You know what I mean? Like if the technology just existed and we could use it for what it was, that's one thing. But the fact that there's someone else's opinion as a moderator, you know, and it's not really like there's some censorship that's like the community guidelines. I understand that, but like then you get like these people that like kind of like, you know, gray area the guideline, like as a moderator, you know what I mean? And then you got the other ones that are what we're saying, the overachievers, you know what I mean? It's like, no, make it AI or nothing, you know what I mean?
I still think that
I'm
social,
against AI.
social media is a pretty good tool though to still be able to reach a lot of people, learn a lot of things, and I don't know, you don't have to take it super serious and just be laid back with it, I think, and you can get a lot out of it still.
Yeah, my opinion is that most of the pot stirrers, I'm just saying pot, all of a sudden I see Abolish, shout out to Abolish in there. He says all those fucking like comments that you'll see in a post like that are just, I'll look and I'll see like the same comment by like a whole bunch of different random screen names. You know what I mean? And it's like, these are robots.
It was paid for, yeah.
They're robots. They're paid for agonists, antagonizers. You know what I mean? They're provocateurs, so to speak. You know, like paid for provocateurs, or even algorithm provocateurs. Maybe they're AI provocateurs. You know,
Could
maybe
be now.
AI just wants us to battle each other into existence. You know, so the machine takeover, like fucking Terminator, can take over. Skynet's on its fucking way. Maybe Skynet's immediate initiation. Say that, I can't say that word. Skynet's immediate attack is provoking us in stupid chat rooms on fucking social media.
Get to the chopper.
Then we just don't take the bait. We just don't get provoked in chat rooms. And that's what we call that.
Exactly.
I don't know.
It's ignorance battling ignorance. You know, none of us really know what the fuck we're talking about.
Okay. Squeaky clean.
Oh, I completely erased what I was thinking. Like when you did that.
Like
I don't know, man. I had a dust.
Speaking of food, he goes back.
I'm just, my camera needs to be wiped. So let me hit my thing and just kind of real fast and wipe. Did that trip you guys out?
Yeah, it was like the Men in Black thing, man. You just like,
I'm just back to finishing my cookie over here.
What are you guys eating in chat? It's time to talk about food.
Yeah.
man, I don't know if I have anything really quick. I could probably heat up a bagel. I always got a bagel.
Crackers. She brought home this.
How do you heat it up?
Cheese.
Oh
stuff.
yeah, we got some cheese from that butcher that I went to this week. Oh,
That's pretty good.
What kind of cheese is it?
it was a chive and onion Munster. Oh, so good,
Yeah.
so good.
Good. That sounds
Yeah,
good.
we had they got some really good stuff. I'm excited to see how it turns out.
It's easy to spend a lot of money in places like that.
You know, okay, here's another thing. We got so much meat for like $300. I mean, like so much meat. I'm like talking butchered meat, steaks, the whole 9 yards for like $300. All the lunch meats and stuff that I got, and brats and cheeses, $300. I was like, I kept looking at them and I was like, do you know how much we'd have just spent if we were at the grocery store? Huh? Do y'all know?
I don't know. I just heard 300 and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you spent $300 on food?
For what we got, it would have been $600 at the grocery store. Yeah. Hands down. Easy.
Yeah, it's always I try to go. That's where I go to. If I don't even like what the meat looks like usually at the grocery store. I've got three. I'm pretty blessed to have 3 different butchers right around me.
Mhm.
Oh, that's nice.
Like,
Butchers and farmers markets. It's like the only place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a really cool experience. So I was definitely really stoked to.
Not only is it cheaper, it's better. It just tastes way
Yeah, it tasted better. I mean, like that was the other thing. Like everybody's like, we don't like this bologna, and I was like, well, that's because you're used to Conn's bologna. This is like real bologna. Like with real parts, not lips, assholes, and toes and piggies.
Maybe some people have a taste for that. I don't know.
But
We
it's
probably all do at this point.
it's just you get used to
Spam,
something.
you know,
Oh
camp.
God, shut up! We're not talking about spam.
Vienna sausages.
Spam's pretty tough. Spam's pretty rough. That's kind of gross to me.
Some kippered snacks, out in the campground or something.
What did you buy? You bought this
I didn't
spam
buy
one
it, no.
time. That
Oh.
was what was it?
While we were in the camper,
That yeah,
the
it was-
bacon
it
flavor
was
was like
bacon.
spam.
Oh, I was like, are you
Oh.
kidding
It
me?
was pretty bad.
Oh, this is gross.
That sounds like it gave pretty good gas too.
I couldn't eat it. It was so salty. I mean, I did try a bite of it. It was just so salty. I don't like a lot of salt, so it was
Me
really
either.
offensive to me.
Although unless it's on a French fry, I want some salt on some French fries.
I mean, I want a little bit, but I don't want it to be crazy salty. Ugh. Yeah.
Even if it's crazy salty, I'll eat it if it's a French fry.
No.
It's so good.
You like your potatoes. You like chips.
I like potatoes and chips.
I like potatoes.
A lot of chips.
I like
come from
sweet
potatoes.
potato chips.
Ooh, I
I
like
agree.
sweet potatoes.
I like
Anyway,
sweet
get
I
them.
love sweet potatoes.
Mhm.
I love sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Those chips, I forget what they're called now, that have like 4 or 5 different kinds of root vegetables in it. Those are really good too.
Terra, TRR.
Oh yeah,
The
they
black
sell that
bag.
shit at Costco. Yeah, it's
It's
all
so
They're
good.
good.
So
They're so
good.
good. I
Love
think I
it.
showed them on the show once before.
So good. I think you might have.
I got some too. Those are delicious.
They are.
Yeah,
so-
we went through the
They're
ingredients.
actually good for you.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Which
remember
types of potatoes they were. I remember now.
They're in a good oil.
they used to sell them at a corner store, and I used to go in there and be all pissed off when he'd be out of them. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Why do you have this other bullshit here? Just get all that.
There's another set of chips that are in Michigan. They're called Great Lakes. Great Lakes potato chips are fucking awesome too. I think they're avocado oil or something like that.
Okay, I have to keep my eyes open for those.
There's skin on potato chips.
So I got something at Hobby Lobby that I've been dying.
White girl alert. We got a Hobby Lobby purchase. No, we lost her.
So
Oh.
this is so not my normal, but it caught my fancy because I've been wanting like a pickle sprinkle for popcorn. And they had some there, so I bought it. Oh my God, it was so expensive, but I bought it. It's so good. If you like dill pickles, it is so freaking good. Oh, so
No,
good.
wait. What did you say? Dill
Tara,
It's like
Tara,
a
pickle popcorn.
Tara, I have so much dill hanging in my basement. I could have just gave you dill, and it wouldn't have been expensive at all.
Well, I mean, there's other stuff in it.
Come on, dill. There's 1,000 plants of dill out here. They're
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. I got 1 billion of them, man.
Dill seed.
It's a you pick 'em type situation, but have at it.
dill.
It's probably dill
I know
salt,
it sounds
Tara.
really funky, and you
Dude.
have to like pickles.
It's
but
probably
it's
just dill
really
salt.
good.
We ordered a new variety of dill.
What is the new variety? My variety is mammoth because it's fucking huge.
The variety that takes over out back, our like perennial varietal is dill, so to speak. It just reseeds itself. It's not perennial, but it is perennial in that sense. But we got a like bunching dill, a slow bolt dill. So one that is better suited for leaf cutting dill
Okay.
or productive dill. The dill that we do, that mammoth dill, I enjoy growing it more for its flower sets and its seeds.
Use that in pickling.
Big fucking, yeah, exactly. Use them in pickling. Big fucking flower sets. And then they come back every year because of the amount of seeds you get out of them. But yeah, those seeds are great in pickles. And then these ones here will be more for market. That's what I was talking about last week about so many different varietals of plants that if you're not having troubles, or if you are having troubles with yield or something like that, you're like, this isn't I've always thought, like, how do people market that? How do they grow this shit? You know what I mean? Bolts fucking doesn't grow. Oh, growing the wrong varietal for my region. I'm growing the wrong varietal for the application also. Am I just growing it as an ornamental or as a food crop or as something that's going to yield and sustain or something like that? And it's all trial and error.
Yeah, it's a hard lesson to learn. You know what I mean? Because it's costly. It's very timely or time cost you know.
And even someone else's experience has a different microclimate than you do. So
For sure.
experience, is going to only get you so far.
And we definitely know that as cannabis growers indoors, she.
Yeah, it's wild stuff.
Yeah, I was looking at seeds today. We got to get on that. It's about time to start popping quite a handful.
It was definitely time to get things like onions. Maybe if you're doing some other herbs.
Yeah, the herbs, big time.
They're not really going to bolt on you that fast. They'll stay relatively small. They take a long time to grow. Like parsley takes a long time to grow. Rosemary takes a long time to grow. Lavender. That stuff all takes a really long time to get started. You don't need to start your pumpkins, squash. You don't need to start any of that kind of shit until it's almost fucking May, because that stuff grows super fast and outgrows its container super fast.
Yeah.
Maybe in February, early March, you could probably get your like summer crops, like your peppers, your tomatoes, and some things like that. But like honestly, you could probably get some. Definitely your onions. They're going to take a long time to grow, but like you could probably get some of your brassicas or even lettuce, leafy green. Definitely spinach. Spinach in Michigan is such a short season. If you attempt to put spinach out when it thaws, when's that? Fucking May. It's going to be 80 degrees and it's going to bolt almost that month. You know what I mean? So really, you should grow spinach in like February and in March. So you can probably start those seeds now, and some lettuces. And with growing them outside, you probably can't do it in northern Michigan because of the sheet of snow. But our snow down south here in Michigan will melt soon, and you can get them in the ground. And you might need to just put some sort of a cover over them to keep them alive, so other snow and frost or freezes. But these are frost hardy. Onions are frost hardy. Kale, broccoli, lettuce, all that stuff is frost hardy. All that stuff is freeze hardy. Some of it is hard freeze hardy, and it'll last through this hard 0-degree weather that we have going on, as long as it doesn't get crushed by snow.
My sage, my thyme, it's all looking good.
Oh, that should look good. Yeah,
rosemary's looking good. The kale's still alive.
Yeah, it's crazy when there's like snow and green plants. It's been 0 degrees. It's been -4 degrees.
Yeah.
I think this stuff would just be losing all of its chlorophyll and completely necrosed. And
my elderberry plant, which is very small, barely done anything yet, but it still had some green leaves at the top. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's cool.
Rusty in chat's talking about strawberries from seed, man. I did that once. They grew so slow that I think I had them in 5-gallon pots, maybe. They were just big enough to survive the next winter. They were the slowest growing plant I've ever grown outside of lavender, I think.
Yeah, that's definitely one.
Lavender is slow.
Yeah, lavender is slow. Rosemary is
really slow.
Shout out Mrs. Fergurley, though. We still have the lavender that she has put through, I think, 2 seasons now. We're coming up on, I think, season 3. They're still sitting outside on her porch, just outdoors, still surviving, still, looking fine. It's kind of crazy, but
yeah.
We got some bushes out there that we did from seed. I got a couple that I got as starts from a nursery a couple years ago, and those are in a different spot. Those are bigger, but we should cut them back, because I don't think we cut them back last year. I also need to stop putting things on the edge of a bed, because it just pathway. You know what I mean? It's like, you get it big. There's your plants. Put it in the fucking middle of the bed where it should go. I even did that with cannabis. I tried putting cannabis leaning on the edge of the bed, just fucking growing into the pathway. Just like crop management, pathway management, gardening. Where's the sun coming up? Where's your shadow? This is the best time of year to watch what areas of your yard melt first and what areas of your yard stay frozen. There is
probably the south.
Right. There's the stay frozen. Either don't plant anything there, put infrastructure there, compost piles, stuff like that. Areas that are melting, put your gardens there, put your plants there, put your greenhouse there. For us, we put our chickens there so they stay warm in the winter time.
There you go.
Different application.
Keep growing our way.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everyone.
hopefully join us with Red this week on Variables on Friday, and we'll see everybody on Sunday back for the Michigan Bros Grow Show here at
And at the
9
Fledge, hopefully.
p.m.
See you at the Fledge. See
Lansing,
you
Fledge,
Fledge, Lansing.
Third Eye Craft Fair.
See you on
See you then,
Bear.
guys.